Hey guys, so the podcast this week was on morning sickness and managing your home, and so I'm doing a corresponding video about that. I don't think I've talked at all here on YouTube about morning sickness, but if there was ever an expert on having morning sickness and managing your home at the same time, it would probably be me. I figured up that I have had morning sickness for, I see I can't even talk. I have had morning sickness for nearly 3 years of my life. 3 years. That's like a really long time. Like, I'm having kind of a hard time wrapping my brain around that, and I lived through it. So it is really a long time. And I did manage to manage my home, but I am going to put the disclaimer out there right now that if you're looking for me to tell you how to manage your home well while you have morning sickness, you're not going to want to watch this, because this is not about managing your home well. It's really just about keeping people fed and clothed and alive while you languish on the couch or bed or wherever it is that you like best to be when you have morning sickness. So let me just kind of dive into the nitty gritty of how to manage your home when you have morning sickness. And I'm going to probably start with just the home atmosphere, and then I'm going to kind of move to actually parenting as well. And it may just kind of be a mishmash by the time I'm done. I have my notes from the podcast down here so that I can kind of follow that a little bit. The nice thing about YouTube is that there are a few things that I want to show you that I can't show you on a podcast. So it's nice that I'm able to show those things to you. But we're going to start with the fact that you don't need a schedule or anything like that when you have morning sickness. I think sometimes we get caught up in the idea that we can put together a schedule that is going to work while we're sick, and there really is no such thing. Morning sickness, at least for me, was very unpredictable. I actually typically had worse morning sickness at night rather than in the morning. A lot of times I could do a few things in the morning, but I was exhausted most of the time. And then by the end of the day, I was just a throwing up mess. Honestly, when people tell me they have morning sickness, I always tend to categorize or classify. Like, I want to know, okay, so morning sickness, were you like a little queasy and food kind of turns you off, or were you like full blown throwing up, feel like junk all day long morning sickness? Because that would be me. I I don't even understand the world of only being queasy. So that's where I stand with that. But there is no schedule that is going to work when you're sick. You really have to just minimize the things in your life that cause you to need to clean and cook and all of that. You have to minimize that stuff, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. If you already have a cleaning schedule in place before you get pregnant, work that schedule as hard as you possibly can until you feel like you just cannot function anymore. For me, I started getting sick around 6 weeks usually, and it was usually within that week that I got to the place where I just wasn't functioning real well anymore, and so the schedule kind of had to go by the wayside. But if you're working that plan until you get to that point, at least you know that the house started clean. And so you can kind of make sure that you've got some of those things that out of the way that needed to be cleaned up and tidied and really deep cleaned, if you can get some of that out of the way before you're too sick to do anything. Then from there, I just recommend you find a place to languish. And for me, that most of the time was on the couch until about, well, the last two pregnancies. I spent most of those in my bedroom, in my bed, especially this last one. But I had older kids by that point. When you have little kids, you still need to be out and about where you can make sure that no emergency arises. And if there is, it's something that you can take care of right away. So I usually was on the couch. I had a blanket that I really, really liked that I kept with me. And then I would recommend that you gather all the things that you need right there near you. For instance, like drinks for you and for the kids. You might even put snacks there, just as long as the kids aren't gonna like sneak the snacks while you're dozing off, because you're probably gonna doze off. Toys, what I recommend with toys is just having a small basket. I mean, like, like this basket of toys, and toys that are not so tiny that it's going to be a struggle for you or the kids to pick up. I would put away the Legos at this point. I would just have some bigger toys. And if your children aren't capable of picking up things, make sure that the toys that you have are very easily picked up by you. And don't have so many things that it's difficult for your kids to actually tidy up. And if you can, just put the rest of the stuff in boxes and stack them somewhere out of the way or out in the garage or something like that, because it's going to be too difficult for you to clean up those things, and you just don't want to mess with that anyway at this point. What I would try to do every day that I was feeling well enough, I would try to find little snippets of time that I was feeling well. And like I said, a lot of times that was in the morning for me, first thing in the morning, before I ever ate anything, because as soon as I ate something, that was like the end of me. But if I could find a little bit of time, I would write myself a very small to-do list. Like I say 5 things, but I'm going to tell you sometimes 2 or 3 is really all you need. Maybe even one thing that you're going to do that day. And sometimes I would ask my husband, because he would have things that he needed me to do, but I was so incapacitated that I wasn't able to get like all the things done that he wanted me to do. So I would say, is there like one thing I could do today if I'm feeling well enough that is on your to-do list for me, and I will put that on my to-do list, and I will really try to get that done. And so I would write out like 1 to 5 things. Keep this list very minimal. Don't put on the list that you are going to give all the kids haircuts and you're going to bathe all of them and you're going to take them somewhere and bake them something special. Don't put that kind of stuff on the list, and at least don't put it on the list all at the same time. If you need to do haircuts, let them go for as long as you possibly can, and then maybe just do 2 kids at a time. And it really depends on how many kids you have, but it is really hard to get a bunch of pretty lofty goals done when you're sick. So try to have just a few things on that list and make them very simplistic. And if you have one hard thing on there, make sure the rest of the stuff is not that hard. In fact, there were times that the thing on my to-do list was to wash my own hair, which was really, really hard for me. It was difficult for me to stand up long enough to get my hair washed. There was even one pregnancy where my kids would have to help me wash my hair. I would hang my head over the bathtub and my kids would help me wash my hair, and I didn't wash my hair real often because I was just so sick. I could not do it. I couldn't function long enough to do that. And so that may be something on your list, like I really need to wash my hair, I really need to take a bath. One note on the bath is I did take a lot of baths when I was pregnant, especially my last 2 pregnancies, because I put Epsom salts in the water, and that actually helped me not feel as sick. I would take long, like 20-minute baths with these Epsom salts, and I really think that magnesium helped me a lot. I took a lot of magnesium. I used magnesium lotion. I will actually put links to some of that stuff down below in the notes so that you can see what I used. I'll also put a list of the ultimate remedies post that I did a while back for morning sickness, and maybe you'll find some things in there you haven't tried. I know for me, I felt like I had tried everything. There were a few things though that actually helped. I had hyperemesis with my second child, and I did not have hyperemesis after that. And I still had, throwing up and all of that, but it was not as bad. With hyperemesis, you're losing weight and you're throwing up continually. And the other pregnancies, I didn't lose weight, and I did throw up multiple times a day, but it was not to the point where I was losing weight, and so that doesn't qualify as hyperemesis. But there were some things that I implemented that I really think did help me not be so sick. As far as keeping the house clean, besides making sure that you have minimized as many of the messes as possible, like the toys and things like that, you want to just kind of tidy up. If you can get your husband or your kids to help in this tidying up, That is the main thing you need to focus on during this time. You really don't need to focus on dusting and all of that kind of stuff. That's extras. And tidying up is going to go a long way for making you feel better and feel like you've accomplished something because the eye clutter is gone. And yes, some things are going to be kind of, dusty and dingy and such, but you will get back to it. Now, I realize some of you have morning sickness all the way through, and I am really sorry. The most that I had was up to 20 weeks. That was a typical pregnancy for me, was about 20 weeks. I started feeling like a human being again. This last pregnancy, I ended up with only about a 4 to 5 week window of feeling well before I was bedridden. And that was because at the time we didn't know this, but my daughter actually was born with a cleft palate, which means she wasn't swallowing properly. And so I got huge and cumbersome, could not walk. And so I was bedridden. I could barely roll over and get out of bed. But that is the closest I ever had to, being completely incapacitated the entire pregnancy. And so I'm sorry. I understand that in those cases, you maybe want to bring someone in to try to get your house clean if you can, because it does kind of feel like there's no end in sight. There is. Eventually, you're going to have the baby, and you will eventually get back to normal. But that's a tough one when you're pregnant and you're sick the entire time. As far as food, when I had hyperemesis with my second child, my first child was 2. And I would lay on the couch and basically get up and grab him cheese and crackers, put them on the table, and get back to the couch. And he had cheese and crackers for like every meal. I know my husband would come home sometimes and cook him some better food than that, but cheese and crackers, it's sustenance, it works. He survived. He's 19 now. He's in great shape. But that was what I could manage. And so I would encourage you to figure out what you can manage, what you can stock the refrigerator with. And I know that as soon as you stock the refrigerator with that and you give it to your kids a few times and then you throw up, you're not going to want to ever see that again, but you can try. The cheese and crackers actually did really well for me. The crackers had to be white. So like the club crackers, I could not stand any color on the crackers, but that was what I could serve him. And I could do it very quickly. And that was kind of the name of the game, is what can I get onto the table quickly that's decent sustenance, and then I can walk away and he's capable of managing it himself. You may even want to get some of those trays, like breakfast and bed trays, and set them out on the living room floor if you're on the couch, and that way they can eat right there beside you. Make sure that you have some paper towels next to you, anything that you might need to clean up a quick mess. You will, by divine intervention, get up if there's an emergency and you've got to quickly clean something up. I know for a fact there were things that happened that I can't believe I was able to get up and manage, but I had to. And you will too. If there's some major crisis, you're going to get up. The adrenaline's going to kick in. You're going to manage to get through it, and then you can go back to the couch and just lay there. As far as shopping, because somehow you have to shop to get these things in to feed the kids, there are a few ways you can do that. You can ask your husband to go shopping for you, or you can ask a friend to go shopping for you. You might even have a friend who's good enough that they would understand that you need some simple snack items that are pretty healthy to bring into the home, and she can make those decisions for you, bring those snack items in and set them up so that you may even have some little dishes. If she could do that for you, have the little dishes where you can just set them out for your children if you're really, really sick and just, don't have the brain power to even think of what might work to feed them. Real quickly, I do hesitate to say have people bring meals in for you, even though I've had that done. It can be a total backfire. And for me, it was this last pregnancy. A friend of mine brought in food for my kids. I was super sick and it smelled so awful. And I know it wasn't awful, but at the time it was super awful. Like, I think it was like garlic and something else. I don't know. It smelled so terrible. I had to go back in my bedroom and grab my diffusing necklaces and just keep it, held up to my nose, breathing in, essential oils, something other than garlic. And when she got done, feeding the kids, I had to throw the stuff out because I could still smell it. Like it had permeated my walls. I was sure. I couldn't even go in the kitchen for a while because it was so nasty. And the thing is, it wasn't nasty, but it was in my head. And so I hesitate to say, yeah, have people bring in food because it may smell really, really bad. And you may be sorry that you did that. So if your friend could just put together some snacky food that doesn't stink, you may be better off asking for that rather than meals. A quick note on my diffusing necklace, and I have several of these. These are from Diffusing Mamas, and they have a reusable, washable, see that pad, or the black one, sorry. No, sorry, it's not the black one, it's the white one. They have a reusable pad in them. You can just wash it out and reuse it. And you just put the essential oils right on there, and then the necklace has some sort of design on the front that diffuses the essential oils. I used these all the time. This is how I managed to go shopping with my last baby. I can't even believe it because most of the time I've not been able to shop because the second I hit the grocery store doors, I can smell the meat counter, I can smell the stuff in the freezer. I have been so bad before. The baby that I had hyperemesis with, my mom actually had to take all of the meat out of the house because I was certain I could smell it through the freezer door. I know that's insane, but I'm pretty sure I could. So she took all the meat out, but I was able to shop because I would take my diffusing necklace and I would put something like peppermint or lemon in it. This is the lemon. We use Plant Therapy. It is really good stuff, and it tells you whether it's kid safe. They have already pre-diluted stuff that is for kids, like roll-ons and stuff that you can buy. I really like that, but I really like Plant Therapy. I feel like I have finally found a company that has good prices and is good quality, and I like this company a lot. So anyway, that's just a plug for Plant Therapy. I'll even put a link down there so you can check them out, and I'll put a link for these as well. The reason I like these necklaces so much is because they're stainless steel, and then I think they also have a rose gold now, which I want to get. That's so beautiful. But they're high quality, and so they're not going to turn your neck green, and they're not going to be something that is not, high quality to wear with your clothing. They're not going to rub off on your clothing. They are just really, really nice pieces of jewelry, something that you will want to wear. They don't look awkward or weird. I love mine, absolutely love mine. So I will put that link down there and you can check them out because I really like their stuff. They also have bracelets. I did not bring a bracelet here to show you, but I do have one bracelet. But when I was pregnant, the necklaces were more what I needed, and of course I needed it up to my nose. So anyway, that's my trick for getting through the grocery store, and I would say that would be a good trick for you to use pretty much anytime you go out because you never know when you're going to run into a smell that is just overpowering and is going to make you sick. Of course, I'm sure you all know, use the paper plates, use the plastic cups, use whatever you can that will minimize the cleaning after the cooking. Try to cook things or have people cook things that don't make a huge mess for you. Just, again, minimize. You are trying to minimize the amount of work you have because no schedule is going to work for you. You have to just minimize the stuff that you actually have to do so that it doesn't take you as long and it's not as much work for you or for whoever is coming in to help you, or for your husband and kids for that matter. If you have older kids like I do, go ahead and try to keep your regular schedules in place. Just remember that you are not a functioning adult, and so you will not be able to check over their work as well, and you won't be able to supervise as well, and it's probably not going to be done as well as it would be if you were right in there with them. So things like cleaning and their schoolwork and even like morning and night routines and tidying up and all of that, you're really just looking for it to be good enough. That's kind of the name of the game with everything when you have morning sickness. Have people been fed enough? Have they been clothed enough? Are they alive enough? Is your house clean enough? Are you surviving enough? It's really just about getting by, and it's that survival mode, and you have to do what you have to do. And again, you're going to come out of it. You're going to be okay. But it's just during that time that you just need to be willing to say, you know what? This is enough. So throughout this, I've kind of woven in the childcare aspect, but I want to give you just a few more tips before I go. And that would be that you might want to get yourself a play yard or a baby gate or a playpen, especially if you have little ones. And you're going to find a centralized location for yourself, and you're going to block off that area for your kids to just remain in that area with you. If you have older children, of course, they don't need to be blocked off like that. But a lot of you have just little kids, and there's nobody else but you and the little kids, and you want them to stay safe. There were times when I would shut myself in a bedroom and lock the door. If you don't have that option, put up a baby gate. And then these play yards, and I'll put a link to one down in the notes, because we had a play yard for quite a while, and it is just a big round plastic play yard, and the kids could play in there and they were safe. And sometimes you can get those with a gate that you can walk through. The one that we had just had like a button, and you pulled up on it and you could open it up, and it was just a safe place for the kids to be. You put that basket of toys in there, you have snacks and things like that available near you as long as you can't smell them. And you can lay there and you can feel like you are doing the best that you can and they are safe. On your worst days, put them in clean pajamas at night, and then let them go ahead and wear those pajamas all day long unless they get them dirty, and start over in the evening and change out their jammies again. Keep the diapers and the pull-ups and the night diapers and stuff like that near you with the wipes and anything that you need like that. I would suggest that you put them into a bag or something like that that can be zipped up, because for some reason wipes become something that smells like diapers eventually, and that's not a very good thing. I don't know, maybe none of you have hyper smell, but I do when I'm pregnant, and so I have to kind of like close off everything. And you might want to put some essential oils right there as well that you can grab and keep near your nose or your diffusing necklace. So that's all I have for you today on this topic. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave me a comment down in the comments section, and I'll try to answer you there. Do take the time to talk to your husband and even your older kids, if you have them, about what to expect during this time that, I'm not feeling well. We're going to do the best that we can. We're going to get through this. I will come out on the other end of this and life will be normal again. But until then, I need a lot of grace and a lot of mercy.